taken us a little bit longer than expected. We had some technical difficulties, which was very exciting. Poor Romana desperately inviting me, and it was fun. That
Yes.
made it even better.
Yes, starting with
Hi,
excitement.
Romana. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
Better now.
Better now, yes, yes. But kind of there has to be some excitement in the beginning so we can start
Yeah.
the right way. Why should everything go smoothly if it can go wrong? How are you?
Oh, goodness. We got there in the end. Um, so welcome to No More Schools. No More School as usual.
Yeah.
And Romana is a certified facilitator, and so am I, of Access Consciousness. You may or may not have heard of it. So Romana is a parent, and I'm a teacher, and we're also being translated this evening into Slovenian. So how cool is that?
Yes, I have to say that first I have to correct it. I'm not yet facilitator. I'm BART facilitator for now, but I'm going towards it. And yes, I would like to thank Maria, who is on the other line, translating into Slovenian. So we will try to work and talk slowly so she can translate simultaneously. And thank you very much for helping us with that. So yeah.
Cool. Yes.
So the title of today's topic is No More School as Usual. And how did you came up with this title? Why should we choose something different in school when everything is already implanted, or why looking for different ways?
Well, it's interesting. Several things come up when you say that. Um, First of all, I was talking to Blossom Benedict, who does Right Voice for You, and she's doing a session with me, and it became clear, like, how much influence, whether good or bad, um, teachers have on students and kids,
Mhm.
and well, us as we grow up. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. So then it started me thinking, well, what if we didn't have school as usual anymore? Like, what if we could improve it?
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, because
Yeah.
there is always a way to improve something, right?
Yes.
If you
Yes.
keep asking for it, of course.
Yeah. So then I looked at, like, and it's so strange. Like, you and I were having this conversation today about, like, this class that we were going to plan for Slovenia, and both of
Yeah,
us, it was just so heavy, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, so one of my questions this evening is, like, what would you guys like to get out of this? Like, I'm asked all the time, like, I'd like more stuff for my kids and for schools and stuff. And what would you like to receive? Like, what is it that you would like to have more of, or to change, or yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, so you are a teacher, right?
yeah.
So you've been implementing the access tools in your work.
Mm.
So can you talk about what access consciousness is and how you implement these tools and how you help children and also co-workers uh, to change something in school and to have more awareness or more consciousness?
Right. So I find actually the most effective thing that I've been able to do is really work on myself. And you may have found this as a parent
Mhm.
as well,
Mhm.
is that
Yeah.
when I change things, when I do it from, I'm going to change because I would like my life better, then it changes everything. So that's my first thing. I would say, if you're a teacher and you would like things to be better for your
Mhm.
school, or if you're a parent or if you're a kid or relative or whatever, what if just by being you and asking yourself questions, and that's what Access is really based on, is asking yourself questions so that you know better what you would like to have in your life. It opens up the space for more possibilities, because when you ask a question, all of a sudden there's this space and this opening, and it can mean that you're asking yourself a question, and it could be that you're asking somebody else a question. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, yes. But,
yeah. So it could be like if your kid comes home and they're like, oh, homework, I hate it, blah, 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 blah. It could be, huh, how does it get better than that? What else is possible? And what would make it fun for you? I was on a call with Nilofer, who does the Illusion to Illusion Summit, called Where is My Door to Possibilities? And she was saying her son came home the other day and he was like, oh, I had such a terrible day, I hated it, blah, 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 and I have all this homework. And she looked at him and she said, well, what do you require right now? Like, if you didn't have homework to do, what would you do? And he said, I would just lie in front of the television and I would watch some television. And she said, okay, what if you did that? And he was like, oh, I can do that? So he did, and then calmer and happier, and then it wasn't a big deal anymore.
Yeah, because sometimes we as parents do a big deal of it, out of it. And I have two kids, 8 and 11, and it's like you said, they try to avoid homework, they try to avoid doing stuff for school, and using these questions and accessible questions, I managed to kind of empower them to have the awareness what the choice will bring if they don't do the homework and if they do it. And it's easier for them when they do it immediately and they have the time off.
Yeah.
But sometimes they require a little bit more space or more free time before they go to homework. So it's very empowering.
Yeah. And it really is, like with kids, I find it so simple. By just asking them questions, they get an awareness. Like, let's say somebody comes to you and they're like, oh, like I have this research paper to do. Where do I look for the information? And I say, that's a great question. Where do you look for the information? These tools are really hard. I don't know how I do it. So yeah, I mean, it's not complicated. It's really easy. And the more you use them, the more you remember to use questions, the more you build that muscle. I'm sure you found the same, yes?
Yes, yes. So can you give parents some questions they can use when dealing with such an issue when they are at home and kids don't want to work on their homework or don't want to prepare for school? What would you suggest?
Well, I would first suggest what requires your attention first. So often as adults or kids or whoever, we become overwhelmed because we're not willing to ask questions. So when you ask, like when I get up in the day, like in the morning, I ask, okay, so who am I today? Because we change every day. Who am I today and what requires my attention? So immediately you get a sense of what you need to do. And that is really background noise here. I might have to mute you, Romana. I don't know how to do that, but I will try. Okay, I'm muting you. I will unmute you in a minute. So as soon as you do that, you know what requires your attention, and the cool thing is you can do it easily. So if you've ever had those days where it just ran so smoothly and everything just happened with such ease, and then you've had those other days where you wish you hadn't gotten out of bed because everything's just like bleh. So yeah, let's see if I can unmute you now. I apologize, folks. This is just one exciting thing after the other, and I can't seem to unmute Romana. Just gonna have to sign.
I can unmute myself.
There we go. Yay! Oh, did I just mute you again?
It's on. Okay. Yeah, and it's nice with the question. So I have two kids, and I taught them the questions, how to use them. So every morning when we drive to school, I ask them, what question are you willing to ask today? So they start the morning with a question, and we make it a game, so we play a little. And sometimes we try different questions. So yeah, it's fun. And what came up out of this is that the older daughter taught her school friends about this question, about the school. So it's very simple and it's amazing. So works miracles if you try.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So maybe we can give you some folks some questions. I just realized my computer is going to maybe not last here. So maybe you can talk some more about questions that you would give parents, Romana.
Yes, we usually start the day with the question, who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures can I have? And what would it take to be the best day so far? What would it take to have more fun or learn in school? And make it like a magic.
Cool. Those sound good. I really like the one with what fun can I have with school today? Like, I think I'm going to use that one.
But fun and school don't go together.
I know. Yeah. What if school could be fun? So, and it's funny because I meet so many parents and just people in general where they're like, well, I had to suffer, so my kids should suffer, or kids should suffer through the school system because that's the way it is. I'm like,
yeah, school is serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serious. Ew.
Oh.
So, yeah, what if we, and I know that people, like, I remember saying to somebody, well, what if school could be fun? And they're like nothing.
Yeah.
That's not a possibility. What are you talking about?
Because for most parents and for most elders, the school was not fun at all. So they kind of approach with their experience, and they cannot see, they are in conclusion that there can be no fun. So
yeah,
like, yeah, but it's very different possibilities, whatever.
So one thing that I was thinking of, what if we tapped into all the kids out there that are in schools that would like it to change? They're like, I know there is a different possibility, and all the teachers as well, and the parents. Like, just get that sense of space that is possible. And everything that doesn't allow that. Now I'm going to use the clearing statement, which sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook. But basically it's like a giant eraser. It just wipes everything away. So everything that doesn't allow that and doesn't allow to have more of that can be destroyed and uncreated. Wow. Right. Good and bad. All 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So if you want more information, we'll post that up for you. It's called theclearingstatement.com, and it gives you all the information on what it is and what it does and stuff like that. So, yeah. So I use that a lot on myself. Like, sometimes if you're a teacher or you're a parent or a kid, you come across people who you don't like, who you just like immediately, you just are like, I don't like this person. I find them irritating. What you can do is you can use the short form, which is pod and pop. And basically that destroys and uncreates all your judgments and your points of view about that person. It doesn't destroy them, so don't worry. Or don't worry. So I heard a friend of mine, she shared this tool with her little daughter, and the daughter went to school, and she had this girl that was in her class that she found really irritating. And she came home, and she was like, Mom, I pod-popped, and then she wasn't annoying anymore. So you can do it in your head, too. Like, it doesn't have to be out loud. You don't have to look like the crazy person. So, yeah.
So, how can, because for most of people, school and consciousness don't work together. So, with using the question, we bring more consciousness to the school and everything regarding school. So, how can we as parents work together with teachers to create more consciousness, and how can we include kids into it so that we all have better experience with it and easier and lighter and joyful? So what would you suggest?
Something that I do is I do something called, it's not called the energy ball anymore, but it's sort of like placed out in front of you the energy of what you would like something to be. So it could be a business, it could be whatever that is. So what you can do is you can take your school, for instance, if you're a kid or parent or even teacher, and you pull in energy into that school from all over, every direction. You pull energy in, and you send little trickles out to all the people that would like to be teachers in it, that are fun and contribute nurturing and change and consciousness to the kids, and are just willing to have fun and willing to be happy. And then all of a sudden you find teachers applying that are fun and joyful, and kids are so great at this exercise. They're like, oh, I can do magic? Okay. So that's something. You can also ask the school itself, the paper, the building, the desks, all of those things have consciousness to contribute to your kids and your school and the teachers and all of that. So that's a great exercise. Yeah, there's so many different things, and it's amazing. I mean, when I worked abroad, I did this with my school, and I mean, I couldn't use any of the access tools out loud because I was working in a country where I would have been kicked out. So I just had to do it all in my head and all energetically, and I watched as my students changed and became happier, and the teachers became happier, and it was just me, just little old me, minding my own business, working on it. So what magician of change could you be? Like, what wizard could you be to, just by being you and just by using the tools yourself, change things? Yeah. And asking
Very
questions.
cool.
Yeah.
Since you're a teacher and you have experience how to teach differently from most of the co-workers, what would you suggest for teachers that would like to do this and that would like to impact or empower kids? What can they do differently, or how can they, because sometimes they don't know, they would like to change it, but they are so into the structure, school structure, and are afraid to lose their jobs or whatever, and the kids are the ones to suffer, or even the teachers sometimes don't feel very well with the process. Yeah.
So I would suggest choice is the biggest one. So no matter where I'm working, I give my kids as much choice as possible. And I started doing this even before Access, because I knew that choice had made a huge impact on me as a student, and the fact that my teachers gave me choice. And it really does empower your kids to know that they have the freedom to choose that they choose. So that's a big one, and it can be as simple as, you have a project and you say, okay, you can do this project, you can color me a picture, you can write me a story, you can, build something, you can look at the history, all these different things, and keep it maybe to 3 or 4 choices. Kids, especially in a state system, they're not used to choice. People don't give them choice. So keep it small to begin with. You can get more and more choice as you go, but just to let them get used to that. Questions are another big thing. So when a kid comes up to you and says, I don't know how to do this, you can simply say, well, what if you did know how to do this? Or what do you know about this? Where could you look to get this information? And constantly give it back to them. I also use another one where I ask, okay, so which would you like to choose? Which feels light and which feels heavy? And I'm sure everybody has experienced this, where you get a sense of like, oh, that feels like joyful and happy, and I would like to choose that. And then there's other choices where you're like, no. I'm going to mute you again, Romana. You're getting, oh, you're fine. You've got gremlins on your side.
I have company always.
Yeah. So I just remembered we were going to check if there was anybody that had questions. So I'm just going to double check the site here. So what else do your kids use for school?
Could you repeat that one? I lost you.
What else do your kids use for tools for school?
Because my daughter had this, like, it was like not an incident, but the school friends didn't like her, so she was kind of put aside. And we tried everything with her, and when I started using Access tools and implement and teach her about it, the first question I taught her who does this belong to, and because she was so aware of everything going on around her, and that sometimes she just kind of she keep receiving this projection that she's not good enough, or you know how the kids are in school. So the minute I taught her how to use this question, and if it's not yours, just return to Sandra with consequences attached. And also every day I teach them to destroy and uncreate all the relationships with friends in school and teacher and everything and learning and everything that's going on in school. So it changed her life. She has more friends now. Yes, it's absolutely. Because of the after school, she found out that she's not wrong. None of us are wrong. So yeah, it's kind of built her self-esteem up. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, so much I was looking for as a teacher to find a way to, you know, give my students confidence. And I've noticed so much, like when they ask questions and they realize that they know where to go and what they need to do to make their lives better, that confidence is just so much bigger. Just so cool. And there was something else that I was going to say there. Yeah, who does this belong to, or is this line is huge to it. I've worked with people in classes that have come to my education, if I remember my own class, Education for a Conscious Future classes. And one of the questions was, oh, you know, I was dyslexic, or I am dyslexic, and I don't know how to cope, or I don't know how to learn. And I asked the guy, because that didn't seem to be really true, because I always ask truth when I ask a question, and if it doesn't feel like light, then I know it's not true. If it's heavy, it's always a lie. So I said, is that really yours? And he was like, oh my God, like, no, I had this really good friend, and he was dyslexic, and I felt really bad, and I wished that, you know, I could do something for him. Well, guess what? He did. He tried to take it out of him, or tried to take it away from him. Like, you can't do that, because people make choices, however crazy they are, and if they would like to continue to operate like that, then that's what it's going to be. So yeah, who does this belong to? Huge tool. Good idea bringing that up. And then I thought of something else, and it just disappeared.
And do you sometimes, since you are a teacher, how is bullying fitting into using the tools of action, or how can we stop bullying?
Right. Bullying is a really interesting topic because it's not as straightforward as some people seem to think. A lot of people say, oh, well, it's because, you know, they're a victim and that person is a bad guy. Yes, sometimes that's the case. Sometimes, you know, and sometimes I've seen kids go looking for abuse. So you really want to be clear, okay, so what is going on here? Are they being bullied because they're just different? Or are they actually seeking out the abuse from their peers or older kids or whatever? So that's something to be aware of. And simply asking them questions like, what are you aware of here? Like, what is it that's going on for you? And it's really an individual basis, so you really need to ask your kid a question, whether they're a student or whatever, or go to a facilitator. And there's lots of us, including myself, that works with parents and kids and such, to really find out what's going on, because it can be so many things. Yeah. And one of a simple tool can be, what energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be? This is for the kid to say this. That would change this right away with total ease. And everything that doesn't allow that, destroy and uncreate it all, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and talk, all nine shorts, boys and ends. So again, I ask a question, the energy comes up, and then I destroy and uncreate it, and then I say the clearing statement. So that's how that works. And I find that when you are willing to be the energy, the space, and the consciousness, both you and your body, to change something, dynamic change can occur. And I use that question a lot for so many things, whether it be for money, whether it be with relationships, whether it be with a situation. It's super cool. Yeah.
Right, great tools, great tips, yeah. So let's talk about how can we contribute as parents or as children or even as teachers to create something better, some more consciousness in the school. How can we, what energy can we be to change the systems that are currently in schools to something greater, something better for all of us and for all of us?
So what if we did this? What energy, space, and consciousness can we all be? Our bodies and us, whoever listens to it now, whoever listens to it in the future, can we be, wow, to infuse more consciousness in the schools and the school systems with total ease. And everything that doesn't allow that, can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes, yes.
Right and wrong. I'll call my insurance boys and be honest. That didn't have a lot of energy on it, did it?
No.
Yeah. So what are the possibilities? What did we just change? Who knows how it will show up? And that's the crazy thing with these tools is, and I used to keep a journal just to follow the change that occurred in my life from using these tools. And after a year, I mean, there was so many, I almost gave up because I was like, I can't keep track. So yeah, it's really amazing how these can change things. Yeah. So what are the possibilities? Yeah. What else? What else? What else can we change?
I have this situation when you as a parent, and there's on the other side is a teacher who doesn't want to change anything. So how can I as a parent, because there's a, they don't want to change anything, they are strict, they have these rules that have to, they have to obey, and how can we as parents, and they project a lot on your kids, so if it doesn't do that, so how can we as parents change that, or what tools can we use, or how can we kind of soften, because the kid is in the middle. So what can we do to change it?
So I know that Gary, every day before he would send his kids off to school, and when they would come home, I think, is he would destroy and uncreate all the projections, expectations, and conclusions that any and all teachers or other kids placed on his kids. So that's a really good one. I know other parents have put their kids in bell jars, which is basically thinking about, you know, those glass bells that go on top of something, so that all the projections and expectations don't affect them. You can also teach your kids to be just way more space so that they're not impacted by those points of view. And that's really simple in that you just ask your kid, make yourself as big as the room, as big as your town, as big as your country, as big as the world. And all of a sudden they have a sense of space and peace that they didn't before. And they can just walk around like space cadets. And that's really, really a lot easier. And what else could you do? Yeah, that's what's coming to mind so far. Yeah. What else is possible?
Do we have any questions, perhaps? For listening?
I didn't see any on the Facebook page, but let me check again.
I'm looking on it, it's nothing there.
No, I don't see anything so far. People may have gotten a little bit confused with all the links and stuff we sent them. But if you guys have any questions, for us, don't hesitate to either put them. Oh, we have a question, but I think it's in Slovenian. It's from Dubravka.
Croatian.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just writing that she couldn't get in, so she's asking if she can re-listen afterwards. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely can re-listen. And if you have any questions, please don't write me pages and pages. But if you have any questions, you can always send them in, email them to me or to Ramana. And if you felt like you wanted to ask something. We do have 5 people watching. I'm just going to check the Q&A if there's anybody sending in questions there. No, I don't see. So yeah, so what else can we talk about? What else would be a contribution? And I do this a lot, like if I'm in my classroom, in my head, I'll go, okay, so what else requires my attention? Or, that I use all day long, so that I'm constantly switching gears. I may look like I've got Tourette's or something. Oh, I know what I was going to talk to you about. So kids that have ADD, ADHD, autism, OCD, I know that you've had Diva to Slovenia to talk about that. What if they're not what we think they are? And often as teachers, we're given these labels and they're not accurate, or we, like, I don't know if any of you are teachers and experience this, or even parents experience this as well, where you have a kid that has been labeled and you go, yeah, and I know there's something else possible. If any of you get to see the film Temple Grandin, she's autistic and high-functioning autistic, and she is amazing, and she talks about autism in a totally different way. And what I've discovered in my teaching over the years, that a lot of these so-called disabilities are actually capacities. And they're kids that can see things in a totally different way than most people. I've worked with kids who have dyslexia, who, although they have trouble writing, have these brains that can work out puzzles and show you things that you thought you were just the way they were in totally unique ways. And their spatial abilities, their ability to use pictures and things is so advanced. So as teachers, I would ask you, like, okay, so what if you could look at your kids and go, okay, so what can I be or do different that would contribute to these kids and, like, allow them to soar and really become more than anybody thought they could be, and even more than that. So that's what I would look at, like, what else is possible with these quote-unquote disabilities that we never thought possible? Yeah.
And for those kids, they're easily distracted. They are easily distracted when they have this capacity. So how would you when you have, I have 2 kids, and sometimes there are hard to handle, if I can say, and you have 30 kids. So how can you if every child is different and they have attention somewhere else, what can you do to kind of so they can pay attention to you? What do you do?
So what I was doing when I had really large classes of like 30 kids, usually under the age of 7, and you only have them for 40 minutes, right? Because I was a special teacher. So what I would do is, number one, give them choice. That is huge, because if they realize they can get up and choose things for their project or whatever, not a problem. All of a sudden they're calmer because they can actually move their bodies around. They're not having to sit still in a desk. So that's one thing. Also getting them up and moving and doing things and constantly changing activities. So, you know, it might be if you're telling a story, they have actions that they have to do to get involved in the story. So not only are they moving their bodies and including it in their learning, but they're also, their comprehension is better because they're present, right? Because so many times as teachers, you realize your kids' bodies are in the class, but their mind or them, they're gone. They've left. So to keep them present in the classroom, and I find playing games is great for this. And there's so many educational games there. They don't even know they're learning. So that's huge. Also having stations, so different areas, and I have teachers that have been using this for years, and it's brilliant. Different stations that kids can go to and change their activities, change what they're doing. There's also some kids that require more input. So, especially with teenagers, if you have teens that are in high school and they have iPods they can listen to and do their work, so much easier for them, because otherwise they're out of their seats bugging other people because they're missing that stimulation, because it's that stimulation that allows them to quote-unquote focus or concentrate. They need lots going on. So your kid might need this. If they have trouble concentrating, they might need the television on. They might need the radio on. They might need to be dancing around and doing their math homework. So really ask questions and find out what's going to work for you and your kids. Everything that doesn't allow us to know what we know as parents, teachers, and kids. Wow. Wow. Can we just throw it and all of that? Yeah. Right and wrong. Fuck all my short spicy blood. Because that's huge. Like, as soon as you're willing to trust your knowing and that you know what you know, it changes mountains of things. And also being aware of where your kids, like, know your kids, like being willing to know your kids, whether you're a parent or you're a teacher, whatever. And as a kid, know your teacher. Like, if you know that Miss Smith will lose her mind if you do such and such, maybe you could make a different choice, or maybe you could make a choice that she doesn't even know you're doing it. I know that sounds like horrible advice to teachers or parents. But I remember when I was working abroad, like, I had this kid who, he was lovely and fun, and he had a twinkle in his eye, and I thought, you are gonna get slammed, little boy, because he'd get into trouble and he would have a huge grin on his face. And I thought, uh-oh. So we used to play this game, and I would say he would get in trouble for something, and I was like, okay, use your sad face. And so he would be like, that's really good. That's a good sad face. Okay, you can go and sit down. You know, so because I knew the next teacher he was going to have was not going to be happy with these trials and got in trouble. And it was fun, and it was just a blast. So what manipulation as a teacher, kid, or parent could you be to go through school with absolute ease, and everything that doesn't allow that would destroy and upgrade it all? Yeah. Wow. Good and bad pot and popcorn. Like, what if we could think of school as a game? Like, what if it didn't have to be serious?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So, what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be today to play with school all day? Everything that does a lot of destroy and upgrade it all, right?
And also not
Yeah.
make it significant, because sometimes the parents make it significant and there's a problem. We go into reaction instead of allowance. The kids have your choices, and with the choices you have their awareness. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, a good friend of mine who you probably know, Anne Clark, we
Mm-hmm.
were chatting about tools for kids, and
Mm-hmm.
she said to her eldest son, who's now 16, I'm here for you if you need anything, if you need any extra help, if you need supplies, and otherwise, it's your bag.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you're gonna do with it. I'm here if
Mm-hmm.
you need me. And she said the crazy thing is she never saw him do his homework. She never knew really what was going on at school. And then she got called into school to say how wonderful he was doing and how he'd won the poetry prize and his teachers adored him. And then lately, he just found out that he got the lead in the play that he was brilliant at. So if we don't have a point of view as teachers or parents, what what freedom could it give our kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools we can play with, so just we have to be willing. Yeah.
Exactly. And play with them. Like it doesn't have to be serious.
And it's fun because when kids are using the questions, they ask so differently that his parents usually ask questions. So I meet them and I don't correct them, just allow them to use their questions because and their choice is sometimes it's like a parent you want everything good for a kid, but
Mm.
if I don't give them choice, they will not have the awareness they require. So it's in the beginning it was tough for me, but now it's easier and they got the awareness and yeah.
Well, I know, and this will always stick with me from when I was first teaching in elementary school. Um, it was, and I wasn't doing access at the time, and yet, and this is the interesting thing about the access tools is that some of them will seem very familiar, or it's like, oh, I used to do that, or I still do that. And this teacher, not teacher, this policewoman came in and she was talking about, you know, like people that pick up children or abduct children and, you know, what to be aware of. And she always said to kids, go with what your gut feeling is. Like, go with what you know because they may be a friend of your parents, they may be a relative, but if you have that icky feeling, that not nice feeling, and you want to leave and get out of there, she said, do it. And that's the thing with giving our kids choice and teaching them to use their awareness is that they know when to get out of situations when they need to. And that's huge. And that could be with other students or whomever. But then they know, and they're way, quote unquote, safer. They're way better off than if we said, oh, no, no, stranger danger. Not always true. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that because I believe that the best protection is the artists to awareness so they
Yeah.
can take care of themselves and yeah.
Yeah.
Because we cannot be always with them, so yeah, why not?
No, we can't always be there for them. You know, they have to grow up and they have to be in the world and, you know, and yeah, well, cool. Cool. So any other questions you have, Romana, or ideas, or?
Uh, at the moment, I think we kind of I prepared some questions on Maya helped me prepare because I went blank today, so I couldn't realize. Yeah, it was just but I kind of We answered all the questions that we have prepared. So if you have anything that you would like to say, or how to do school differently or normal school as usual, any tips?
Yep. Any other things I would add? Yeah, well, I would really like to ask people like, what would you like to receive? Because I've been looking at classes and things, and people want to know, oh, what's your class like? What kind of class would you like to receive? What's of interest to you? And I do teleclasses and all sorts, private sessions, whatever it is. My target is to be the things that the kids are asking for. And I know they're asking for it. I've seen it in their little faces going, I don't want to be here. And I had one little boy who would try to go to the nurse as often as possible because he hated being in school. And he was so creative and such a little inventor, and I saw the school was just crushing it out of him. And it was so hard to watch. So, yeah, what would you guys like so that we can change this? What else is possible? So, I think we're going to wrap it up here. So, sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm so glad we did get on. And what else is possible? What else can we create? Yeah, let me know how the tools go, and I would love to hear your stories, or it's always so exciting when I find these great stories.
But before you go, you're coming to Slovenia in February, right?
Yeah, so far that seems to be what's going on. We'll keep you updated. I also have a teleclass coming up, starting really soon, actually. Starting next week, February 7th. So if you're interested in that, that's definitely a possibility. Yeah, and let me know, because I would love to come to Slovenia. What are the possibilities?
Yeah, and we would love to have you here because we know how we need the tools in our everyday life and in school. So, yeah, I have a lot of parents asking when we have some seminars regarding school and kids and teachers and parents how to use tools. Yeah.
So what are the possibilities? And thanks to Romana for being on here with me and hanging out and asking all those questions.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, contributing all the things you do too as a parent in schools. That's so valuable. I'm really grateful. So I will talk to you soon, and I'll talk to you guys soon, hopefully, and one day I'll see you in person.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.